Are you tired of wasting your time and money on terrible dining experiences? Well, get ready to unlock the secrets of choosing the perfect restaurant with the Dining Fables Guide to Becoming a Menu Detective. With the cost of eating out only going one way, which is up, it's more important than ever that we choose wisely when choosing where to go out to eat. In my opinion, every unknown restaurant is guilty until proven tasty. So how do you choose? I bet most of you head straight to Google, TripAdvisor, or even perhaps ask family and friends. But is this really the best way to go? Why don't you check out my recent video about why I rarely use TripAdvisor as my sole gauge of a restaurant? Or I've got another video about the criteria I use once I've actually decided where to go out to eat. In this video though, we're going to discuss how to decide whether a new restaurant is actually worth trying out. I've spent years taking photos and videos in restaurants professionally and as an eager punter, because I love them and I'm always on the lookout for someone great and new to eat. But trying new places can be risky, and not everyone can afford to gamble on an expensive meal. Sometimes when I stay fairly local, it can be easy. I might know the chef or the owner's name, and if I've liked their work in the past, I'll trust that they're doing something good now. But hey, just like everyone, sometimes you've just got to roll the dice. Perhaps I'm in a new town or trying a place run by a team I've never heard of before. So here are some tips on how to investigate unfamiliar restaurants and make informed decisions. Now I think it can be fair to say that sometimes there can be too much choice, even outside the major cities when it comes to eating. So I find being quite brutal in my culling of options can be helpful. Now I'll probably pass on the usual suspects. The local curry house, trattoria or Chinese joint. Yeah, I know, they're usually awesome when you're after just a casual meal and you have a deal which is great almost every other day of the year. But let's face it, they're probably following the same bulk buying, shortcut cooking playbook. Now we definitely all have our preferred spots, including myself, when there is nothing in the fridge and you just want to eat. But seriously, I don't think you need me to say that £10 dinner menu is really worth the special trip. So what's really worth checking out? Well, you've got your obvious clues like reviews, awards and guide listings, but if you want to uncover those awesome hidden gems, the key is reading between the lines of a restaurant's menu. So it's time to act like Sherlock Holmes and put on your detective hat. Your investigation begins with the menu. Whether you're checking out online or right in front of the restaurant, a menu's appearance can be quite revealing. Watch out for overly styled ones with tons of logos and images. They're not exactly built for change. Instead, a simple font on a thin paper suggests a restaurant that's ready to adapt its offering based on the best ingredients available. Now on the other hand, be wary of places that go for an overly fancy script. Not only are they a pain to read, but they also script, "We take our food extremely seriously." Now I don't know about you, but that's not my cup of tea, so I'm going to keep looking. The vibe of a menu can tell you a lot. Where a menu lists whole sea bass, expect good sea bass. But where it lists it as sea bass gently coated in a light herb crumb and shallow fried in single estate extra virgin oil, be prepared for disappointment. For me, other red flags can include things like breaded brie, garlic mushrooms, prawns and scallops at oddly low prices, proliferation of balsamic vinegar, salmon rubbed with things, famous roasts, grazing boards, and boards of nibbles all can be a bit of a problem. If you like what you've seen and heard so far about being a menu detective, it would be amazing if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel. The more support and traction these sorts of videos get, the more content I can create. So come on, grab a fork and get involved. How about menu length then? What seems about right to you? Is it 5, 10, 15 per course? Personally, I'm always a little bit suspicious of a menu that has more 5 or 6 items per course. Just think about it. The fewer dishes a restaurant needs to prepare, the more love and skill they can put into each one. I think a concise menu of about 15 to 20 options in total indicates to me that the chefs are focused on quality, taste and top-notch ingredients. And anything more than this and the cynical side of my brain kicks in, and I'm immediately thinking they're relying heavily on the freezer behind the scenes, and probably spending far too much time on the phone to their friendly neighbourhood food service company. Now it's clearly incredibly hard to tell how and where a restaurant will source its ingredients, but it is possible for telltale signs to appear on the menu. Buying ingredients, especially at the moment, can be challenging. Butchering them is even tougher, and making the most of the whole animal is a real test of skill. For me, it's a top-notch sign of a kitchen when you can see dishes featuring venison, for example, in multiple forms, ranging from sausages, Scotch eggs, carpaccio, ragu, loin, or even the haunch. This tells me they hold themselves to really high standards and have some serious culinary skill. Also, when it comes to wild food, it's a clear indication of care and attention. While you can easily get your hands on farmed chicken breast, salmon steak, lamb shank all year round without much thought, the likes of Red Mullet, Sole, John Dory show the kitchen is sourcing from a smaller scale and relying on talented chefs who really know their stuff. Game meat also falls into this same category. Whether you're a fan or not, partridge, hare, pigeon aren't part of the mass-produced supply chain that good restaurants tend to steer clear of. All about those dreaded food manufacturer catalogues I mentioned earlier. Well, they rarely feature things like pig's head, green papaya, duck heart, choy sum or even goat shoulders. While these ingredients may certainly be uncommon or even off-putting to some, they are strong indicators that everything is being cooked from scratch with care and attention to detail. It can also be a good idea to keep in mind the range and style of dishes too. A lot of talented chefs in my area have honed their skills in culinary schools and professional kitchens that emphasise French, Italian or British styles of cooking. So should we really expect them to be able to perfect dishes from other geographic regions? It may well differ where you live, but I think the principle remains. This is where specialising in having authenticity, authority and provenance really matter, rather than trying to create a one-stop shop that caters to all tastes and palates. As usual though, there can be exceptions to the rule. The main one being restaurants dishing up food from various parts of China or the Indian subcontinent. Their menus tend to be much longer courtesy of permutations of ingredients. And who doesn't love a delicious exception to the rule? So the menus pass the test. Now unfortunately price must enter the equation. But this is where we stumble across the age-old debate of value versus price. Now this is clearly subjective and a personal decision. I think the best advice I can give is to go online and check out their prices. If the restaurant is good and regularly changes its menu, then it will have a sample menu to give an indication of price. Add up the cost of a mid-range starter, main, dessert and ask yourself, do I feel comfortable paying that? Does it feel reasonable compared to other dining experiences I've had in the past in the general area? And do you see enough value in the venue, location, chef, menu, atmosphere, etc. to make it worth the leap into the unknown? And then finally, the thorny subject of checking them out online raises its head. As I mentioned earlier, I recently released a video about my thoughts on TripAdvisor that I will link to at the end of this video, so feel free to check it out. However, the main headlines were effectively, don't read them exclusively, and avoid the polarisation of the awful and the too good to be true reviews. That being said, however, there is definitely wisdom in crowds, and if a restaurant has over 250 reviews, for example, this is probably statistically useful. And if those reviews are mainly 4 and 5 star and massively outnumber the 1 and 2, then I'd suggest it's a pretty good sign. Personally, when it comes to online though, I prefer to look at how they communicate with their audience via their own channels. Now you might think I'm slightly biased as a food photographer, but if they've gone to the effort to visually present their food, venue and staff in a high quality, beautiful and consistent way, all of which is possible without hiring a professional by the way, then I'm confident the dining experience will reflect this should I choose to go. I also like to read how they interact with people on their social media, usually Instagram, to see if their tone of voice is authentic, confident and professional. I don't think they always need to be deferential to diners either, but always respectful of any criticism with an openness and an ability to learn. Thank you so much for watching all the way through to the end of this video. I hope it's given you some little nuggets of information to help you decide should you take the risk and try somewhere new to dine this week or in the coming month. But our journey doesn't have to end here. If you're hungry for more delicious discoveries, join me and devour the restaurant playlist coming up now. As we come to the end of this hopefully insightful video into choosing the perfect restaurant, there's still so much more to explore and discover. Don't miss out on the opportunity to experience new flavours and uncover new local favourites. So let's eat out together to continue our quest to find delicious dining experiences. Subscribe now and stay tuned for more mouth-watering moments.